What up, Bucs fans, NFL fans, and gambling fans? Welcome to week 16 of Pewter Picks and Props, brought to you by PewterReport.com. I'm your host, Matt Matera. It is the bowl season. It is playoff crunch time in the NFL, and the college football playoffs are arriving as well. So, like Eminem and Dr. Dre once said, let's get down to business. We'll start with the college football playoff. Let's get it rock and rolling. First one, actually a twofer, because I'm picking the spread and the over-under. Notre Dame, -7, hosting Indiana. This is the Friday night game. Notre Dame's defense is tough. They score enough. Indiana, their only tough opponent this year, difficult opponent, was Ohio State. They got beaten pretty badly. Because it's in Notre Dame, because it's freezing cold, I also like the under 52. I just don't think Indiana's really going to score that much, where Notre Dame can start pulling away, might win by 10, maybe even 17 points. So Notre Dame -7, then the under in that game, 52. Now the Saturday games, Penn State -8.5 against SMU. I just think this is going to be an absolute bulldozing. SMU lost to Clemson. They don't do a good job of stopping the run. They have issues in pass protection. So everything in this game screams that Penn State's going to win by like 20. And every year in the college football playoff, we get some blowouts. This one very much sounds like it. So one more time, Penn State -8.5 hosting SMU. Now over to Clemson at Texas. I'm taking the under of 51.5. I'm just sick and tired of expecting Texas and their offense to be like what it was last year. They still score points, but it's not even remotely close to what their potential is. You saw them struggle against Georgia. Clemson, they have a solid quarterback. They have an okay defense, but Texas's defense is really damn good. I think they are underrated. So Texas will win, I think. If I was betting just money line, I would take Texas, but I'm just tired of seeing Texas win and they got it out in a close performance. So I'm going to take the under 51.5, rely on that Texas defense. And the 8 o'clock game, super fun one, Tennessee against Ohio State. I'm taking the Vols on the road at Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes tend to choke in these big pressure moments. Just look at what they did against Michigan. They lost the big one against Oregon earlier in the season. You could look at it as redemption, but I see it as Ohio State choking once again. So Tennessee +7 is the pick in that one. I also like their quarterback and their overall toughness. I think their game travels to the road. Moving over to the NFL. We'll do some NFL picks, then get into Bucs versus Cowboys. That's a primetime game as well. We'll start with an NFC North matchup. This one in Chicago. Lions-Bears. I'm taking the over of 48. Anytime there's an over with the Lions and it's not 50 or above, I think you have to take it. I think it sucks with the injury to David Montgomery, but they still have Jahmyr Gibbs. So scoring points will not be an issue for the Lions. A ton of their injuries have come in the secondary. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson earlier in the season, Carlton Davis, who Bucs fans know very well, he's on IR. They had another player in the secondary go on IR. So you have Jamal Adams playing defense back there, and he, unfortunately, is injury prone as well. So I think the Bears are so fluky with their offense, but Caleb Williams has something going with Keenan Allen and a couple of those guys. So Lions will be able to score, and their depleted defense will allow the Bears to put up some points as well. So over 48. This next one, Rams -3 at the Jets. I know they're going all the way from West Coast to East Coast, but don't let the Jets beating the Jaguars fool you. They're still not a good team. The Rams are trying to win their division. They have all these weapons on offense. The Jets will not be able to stop the Rams offense at all by any means, and the Rams pass rush will do enough to get to Aaron Rodgers. So this one, maybe not a blowout, but at least a double-digit victory, which in the NFL is sort of a blowout. So Rams -3. Last NFL game, I actually just mentioned them a moment ago. Jaguars +1.5 at the Raiders. Nobody's going to be watching this game, but the Raiders, who were just on Monday Night Football, cannot move the ball forward. They have no answers on offense. They have no weapons on offense. Jacoby Myers is at wide receiver. Well, actually, I take that back. They got Brock Bowers. He's their only weapon on offense, and he is a monster. But outside of that, the Jaguars were able to score some points. I really like Brian Thomas Jr. Mac Jones just throws it to him over and over and over. This is a battle for, getting the top pick, and the Raiders need it more because the Jaguars at least have a quarterback when Trevor Lawrence is healthy. So Jaguars might win outright. The Raiders are that bad. So Jags plus 1.5. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, they are playing on the road at the Cowboys in primetime Sunday night football. This is only a 4-point game, so I am hammering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -4. They're on a 4-game winning streak. I think the Cowboys, who won 3 of 4, good for them. They've beaten bad teams, where the Bucs did too, but then they blew out the Los Angeles Chargers. This Bucs offense is absolutely humming. I see no signs of it stopping. They should be able to score 30 points, which is why I like the over as well, because I'm not totally convinced on the Bucs defense just yet, but they'll leave a lot of things in front of them, let the Cowboys dink and dunk, and then get some stops in the red zone. So I love the Bucs being able to score at will against the Cowboys because they can do it in several ways. They can throw it, they can run it, they can play a close game, they can play in a shootout as well. So Bucs -4, over 48.5. The player props. Rachaad White over 18.5 receiving yards. The Bucs love going to the screen game. Their running backs are great out in space. I think the Cowboys are going to be super worried about trying to stop Mike Evans and some of the other weapons in the secondary. And if Micah Parsons, their very talented edge rusher, starts getting some hits on Baker Mayfield, they'll throw a screen to his side and take advantage of his aggressiveness. And that's where Rachaad White comes in because he's the best pass blocking running back and the best receiving running back on this team. But also the Cowboys have trouble stopping the run. And I was very surprised to see this number at 58.5. I think it was in the 70s last week for Bucky Irving. So I'm a huge fan of the over in the rushing yards for Bucky Irving this week, over 58.5. He's trying to get to 1,000 yards on the season, and he might be able to do it with another big game. I think they'll wear the Cowboys down, and he snaps a big run in the second half like he's been doing this season. So take the over on the rushing yards for Bucky Irving. We'll take one for the Cowboys as well. They got a very talented kicker in Brandon Aubrey who can boot it from, over 60 yards. So we'll take him over 1.5 field goals. The Cowboys have been moving the ball a lot better. They've been able to run the football. And I'm not totally sure if they'll be able to against the Bucs. But if they get into the red zone, that's where the Bucs clamp down, and Aubrey will have to hit some field goals. And if the Cowboys are struggling, they'll settle for a 60-yard field goal with Aubrey. So less room for them to go. So him on the field goals. This other man is chasing greatness along with 1,000 receiving yards. Mike Evans, we're going to go over 5.5 catches because the Cowboys aren't going to want to allow the big play down the field, even though the Bucs haven't been doing a ton of deep shots. They did last game, and it worked for Mike Evans. So I think you're going to see a similar game plan to how they got Mike involved, who had 9 catches against the Chargers. Before the 2 touchdowns, it was a lot of slants. It was a lot of 9 to 10 yard routes, not anything crazy down the field. And they will just keep peppering Mike Evans because every single yard counts. And the Cowboys secondary has some talent, but they're also injured without having Diggs in there. So Mike Evans, playing in his home state of Texas, does some great things because he's a spectacular, fantastic player. And our last pick, the touchdown prop, going back to Bucky Irving, it was Rachaad White that scored last week. So I think Bucky reaches the end zone this time around. Might punch it in from a couple of yards out. But with the way that the Bucs move the ball, he should cross the goal line, score a touchdown in the end zone. And that's a payout of plus 100. So not a bad payday either. So those are all my picks for this week with college football, the NFL, and the Bucs' first Cowboys game, especially with it being the last game on Sunday. You're going to want to make sure you take these player props as you try to add to your winnings or maybe get out of a hole as well. But very excited. We'll see if the Bucs can make it 5 in a row and get one step closer to reaching the postseason. So that'll do it for this show. Make sure you follow Pewter Report at Pewter Report. I'm Matt Matera. You can follow me at Matty4_Matera on X. Instagram for me, it's Matty_Matera. So just take out the number 4. And thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Have a ball this weekend, especially with the college football, and let's win some money. Out.